Here we are.
Look at this.
We're live. We got a lot of people waiting. Stephen Eyer's
Yeah.
been waiting 45 minutes for this moment. The poor guy.
Oh my God. Did he confuse us with a value village?
I do have some pickups, some Amazon pickups. I don't think it's anything he's
Ooh.
interested in. I don't think it's anything you're interested in. But if we get to it.
Is it a book?
No. I'm not going to tell you what it is.
DVDs?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Right. DVDs, I said.
No, not. Well, they're digital.
You bought a bunch of crazy movies that nobody else is going to watch. Probably some old stuff.
You're close. You're so close. Welcome everyone to episode 165 of Retro Fandango. Sorry the show is a little bit late. It was my fault. I keep forgetting to send Richard a link now. I don't know why that's my move, but
look at that. Look at that. 6 a.m. Cat Max Gaming.
Yeah. Being
mean.
Yeah, I know.
I'm sitting here. I'm chewing on my breakfast, drinking my tea, just waiting for that link.
I know. I don't know why that's the step I missed now. I don't know, but at least it's only that one. I want to remind everyone to check out the Quick Save Club, who's still playing Torchlight 2. I played through it with most of it with Sarah. I got some stories to tell you, so get ready for Quick Save Club at the end of this month. CC Cartridge Club, I guess there's no more CC Prime. Cartridge Club is playing Banjo-Kazooie. I've played through most of Banjo-Kazooie. I've never finished it. I think my save is still sitting there on the Xbox One, so maybe I'll fire it up and actually finish that game. I got really far in it, though. I played hours of it. What about you? You ever played Banjo?
I've never played it.
Never played it.
At one point, I did buy, back when I bought games, I had a copy of Banjo-Kazooie 2. I was completely lost. I had no idea what was going on.
Banjo-Tooie.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah, Banjo-Tooie. Rocket Sauce says, now's the time to finish it.
Oh, I sold that a long time ago.
So, yeah, he's right. If I'm ever going to finish it, now would be the time. And Stephen wants to know if any of us is wearing a wig. I know I am not wearing a wig. If I was, it would be a skull cap. Skull cap. I'm excited about this. RF Gen is playing BioShock 2, and that's a game I've always wanted to go back to and play again. So, because I want to know if it's really as good as I remembered it. Because I remember actually liking it more than BioShock 1.
Really? I've never played part 2.
Not in terms of story. BioShock 1 has the story, but BioShock 2 has the gameplay. Like, you remember in the first one how you had those...
Plasmids?
What are they called? Yeah, you inject yourself and you have the plasmids. And in 2, they actually made it where you can combine plasmids. And they were really fun to experiment with.
Oh, so, kind of like Kirby 64?
I guess, yeah. So like there would be a plasmid where you could shoot a wind, right? Make like these little tunnels. And if the guys get stuck in the tunnel, they go zipping around the room. And that because you get it more and more powerful. But you can combine it. You also had like these bees that you could shoot out and they would bees would attack you. Well, you can combine them so you can set a wind trap and put bees in it. So when the guy would step in it, he would start zooming around and he'd be attacked by bees at the same time.
That sounds so much fun. That
it was.
It should be called what Tokujo says.
BioShock
2. It reminds me of that second X-Men not X-Men, Marvel Ultimate something, the game that I love that I can never remember the name to.
Yeah, I know which one.
Marvel Ultimate something, but they had a thing in there where your powers would combine. So like Storm would shoot out this cyclone thing, and then the Human Torch would shoot out fire, but then they combine, and then it's like a flaming cyclone that picks people up. And really fun idea. That's
BioShock. I forgot. I should put that up. BioShock 2.
I come here mostly for the puns now.
Fandango this month is the Coming of Age 3-pack, which we'll be doing with our buddy It's Rocket Sauce. we'll be watching Stand By Me, Rushmore, and Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead. I got to put those in the Fandango folder.
Where did I
But
I should open up our outline here.
I'll do it tomorrow. For December, next month, there was some talk going back and forth, but I decided on the 3 movies. I like your title that you came up with for next month, calling it Hanky Panky, because they're going to be Tom Hanks movies. But I'm going with classic Hanky Panky. Going with some classic Tom Hanks.
I'm good with that.
I picked 3 from the 80s. Splash, which I have not seen in a very long time, but Bill keeps going on and on about Splash. So that needs to be. I guess I need to rewatch that. I remember it being okay. Like it's like, pretty good.
I've never seen it.
Big, which I adore. I love that movie. It is fantastic.
Penny Marshall.
And I have it on Blu-ray. I haven't watched it yet, so this is a good excuse to watch my Blu-ray. And The Burbs, which I haven't seen. And it's one of those ones that has a cult following. It doesn't have the reviews, but people seem to really love it. And it's a Joe Dante joint from Gremlins and Gremlins 2, so I want to see that. Also want to remind people to check out the new Retro Nonsense podcast starring our friend Duke and Chris Roberts. They put out the 2nd episode a little while ago. I finally got to it and listened to the whole thing. It sounds very, and I mean this as a compliment, sounds very Retro Rejects-ish.
Yep.
I heard a lot of Retro Rejects inspiration in there, which I like.
They really should change the title to the Mount Rushmore podcast.
They do like to talk about Mount Rushmore quite a bit. Yes, that comes up. But it was good. And I'm looking forward to the next episode. So this 2nd episode is where we finally got to see, because the first one was just a warm-up episode. This one was where we finally got to see Duke's vision, and I liked it. So I want more. And then Joe, our friend Joe, over at My Life in Collecting, has a new podcast.
Is this number 17?
Something like that.
Number 24?
You got a big stealth release on there, because I didn't know. I didn't hear anything about it. I just came up on my feed there on the YouTube, and it was something called Two Brothers in Video Games. Now, I haven't listened to much of it yet, but I was impressed at the length of this episode, because it was a girthy 1 hour and 45 minutes, which I found interesting, because STC Pod on that show, Bill starts getting the hook at like 40 minutes in.
Right.
And here he is, an hour and 45 minutes. So I'm interested. I'm interested to see what...
They must be recording at a very different time of day.
Has to be, right. It's got to be on Joe's schedule. But I think it's his brother that's in it. I met his brother once. I know he has 2 brothers, and I met one brother once, but it was a long time ago. And I'm bad with names and faces, so... There you go. That's it. That's it for the intro. Now we can talk about politics.
What do you want to talk about?
Well, let's get this election stuff out of the way. Why not?
The what? What's going on?
That silly election,
Oh, yeah. Well,
Toku Joe I was impressed with the girth. Toku Joe was impressed with the length. Different strokes.
Toku Joe. I don't know what time it is where he is, but it is like go time.
It is his happy hour whenever we record this show.
Toku Joe is the guy to beat in the comments.
Toku Joe reminds me of a young myself. When I read his Twitter feed, I'm like, yes, that was me 20 years ago before I became completely cynical.
He's at a happy place now. He hasn't hit the anger phase that you have.
No, he'll get there. He'll get there. I'm feeling good though today. I'm feeling happy.
And why is that?
Wow, because it looks like Joe Biden's going to be president in the United States.
It's been looking like that for a while.
Yeah,
the numbers are turning in his favor.
Yeah,
all the basically what he and his campaign told all the Democrats and all his voters: plan your vote, mail it in, use those drop boxes. Do do it safely. The completely legal process that is nothing new. It's all been there before. There's always an option. People like me who have to use absentee ballots. It's always been an established system. And the problem is now they expect you to count them. Like
yeah, what's up with that?
Like they're real.
No. You only count them in the states where Trump is losing by a small margin. You got to continue to count there. Where you stop.
Well, why would you stop counting them? I mean, he could still get more votes.
No. You continue counting there. You continue counting there.
Right. So why on earth would you think of stopping them if Trump potentially has more votes?
You stop where he has a lead by a small margin. That's where you stop. You just give up. You just say, it's Trump's.
Well, that's because of the fraud.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
All the fraud.
Widespread fraud.
Yes.
It's the worst fraud you've ever seen. It's bad. It's bad. It's so bad.
You can actually witness the fraud yourself. The center, the accounting center where they're complaining the most about the fraud, they actually have a live camera strapped right into that building, and it's streaming live right now. You can see what everybody's doing, and that's where the fraud is.
That's a fake stream.
That's
in the movies. Right? I've seen movies. They go in and then they edit the VHS tape so it goes on a loop.
Yes.
If you keep watching, you're going to see that little skip
click.
The clock is going to Homer Simpson on you.
That's sweet can. There
you go. But pressure's relieved. At least there was that whole build up to the election, and then you start seeing the numbers come in, and it's like, okay, things are getting started, and then suddenly, as they predicted, the election day numbers just jump right up in favor of Trump, because that's what he told his people to do. Go out on election day, get your votes in person. We're going to have the red wave. It's going to happen. And so he got it. It's like he opened his Christmas present early. He got to see all the greatness there. But then, your younger sister or something comes down after you've already opened all yours, and then she starts opening her presents, and then you start getting jealous. Like, whoa. I had the nice Christmas. What are you doing this in front of my face for? Toku Joe.
Let's film the same. They fake the moon landing. Yes.
Oh my God. Toku Joe is taking over.
I know. We should just give this
show up anymore.
Just give him this show. Yeah. Does everyone read the chat? Read Toku Joe's comment.
Just send him the link so he can start up the comment section.
I found it the best was yesterday when Joe Biden came out for like a minute, 1 minute. He just wanted to come out for a minute and say, "Look, everybody relax. Let's let them count. And, don't get excited. We don't need to protest or anything like that. And just let them count. And when they're done counting, then I feel like as if I'm going to be president, and, that's what we're going to do." And that was it. And then Trump, apparently he saw that, started freaking out and said, "I got to get on TV." And so like a big baby stormed on TV and talked for 15 minutes about gibberish. And most of the networks, I think, except for Fox, cut out of because he was just spewing nonsense.
Yeah. Well, that was one thing I managed to catch live. There's so many things I catch.
Retro fan Joe. All right.
There's so many things I miss, and I have to catch the replay later on. But that was one I managed to see. He's like, "Oh, he's about to come out and say something." So I found a stream online. I think it was a PBS feed, which they did not cut out of it. So I was just able to, see the entire thing. But what they did do is about halfway through his speech, which is all him talking about everything's fraudulent. They should stop. You should, if you count the legal votes, I won the election. If they count the illegal votes, they're stealing it from me. And he goes on and on. And after a few minutes, a disclaimer pops up on the screen from the network saying, Trump is making false comments about the election. And it's just like, live,
Yeah.
when he's going into one of his speeches, to have the little caption there say, "Look, this is all BS." Just he's going to
That's
keep talking, but
and
you got to
that's
know.
the president of the United States, man. It's insane. Can't believe it.
Well, the interesting thing now, though, is like you said about how Biden handled his speech and how all of the news anchors who have a history with Trump. He has personally attacked so many of them.
Yeah.
They've been waiting for this moment, but it's what they have to do right now, and it's what Biden is going to have to do throughout his presidency, because it's very unlikely that Trump is going to catch up in the numbers. It's just not working in his favor. He is going to have to preside on eggshells. He can't jump the gun and make any false statements, any premature statements, because he rode to office on the whole point of that he is the anti-Trump. He's not going to just start saying things. He's not going to make up anything or deliver any false information. So they've got to be extra careful right now. They're not going to say like we won or anything. They know it. They're just waiting because that's the process. There's no reason to rush. They can let it happen for another 2 weeks if they wanted to, before they say anything. But if Biden takes office, Trump's people, and there are a lot of them. This was a very close race. They are not going to, give him an inch of leeway. They're going to be on him every step of the way. As soon as he says something that's wrong, they're going to crucify him. So his whole campaign, he's got to be so careful.
Yeah.
So this is just the first sign of it. And then the reporters are doing the same thing. They don't want to be accused of, announcing it before it happens or getting too excited. So play it cool. Just be careful.
Well, and this business too that everyone seems, and I was feeling it at the beginning of the week too, where people were really distraught at how divided the country is. Like this was another litmus test. Like it's something that you kind of knew, but you felt like if it was Trump, I mean, we got to get to a point where, come on, this is Trump. This guy's just a complete moron. Most people have to see that. I think in Washington, D.C., it was like 90% of the people voted for Trump. And there was
that was the funny one. There's some states were kind of lopsided, but then you see that and it's like everybody in Washington, D.C. hates Trump.
Yeah. And when I saw that number, I said to Sarah, that's the number that we should be seeing all around the country right now. Like that's the one
that's a lot closer to what I didn't expect, like a 95-5 or something like that. But it was a bit surprising to see just how many, how the numbers came in for Trump and just how close it was in so many areas.
There's a couple of things that you got to put, you can put that into perspective. One is, it isn't that the country's divided. It's the people who actually went out and bothered to vote are divided.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. So, and Biden didn't really dip into Trump's people at all and bring them over, and Trump didn't really dive into Biden's people and bring them over. Like the people who seem to have voted in the last election, like there are exceptions to the rules, but for the most part, like if you look at all the regions and everything, whoever voted for Trump voted for Trump. Whoever voted for Biden in 2016 or whoever voted for Hillary voted for Biden. What they both did very well was bring people into the political circle that never voted never voted for, at least didn't vote in the last election, because more people voted for Joe Biden than any other candidate. And even Trump got more votes than any other. He's the second most,
just because more people took part. But I think they even said it was only like under 70% turnout of all eligible voters.
Yeah.
So there's still a huge chunk of people that just
eligible voters that didn't bother to vote, or might have voted or through their ballot or whatever. The other thing too is that you got to keep into perspective is the Democrats are always working uphill. There's gerrymandering on both sides, but the gerrymandering of the Democrats is about this much, whereas in the Republican it's about that much. Like they were way ahead on the gerrymandering game well before the Democrats. Not saying that Democrats haven't done it. They got some shady stuff too, but they're way behind the eight ball. The other thing is it's all the little things that the Republicans do that mess up. Like, for instance, like it was just this year where the state of Florida, which is Republican ran, decided that 750,000 former convicts were not allowed to vote.
I
It
didn't
came
hear
close,
that one.
right? So that's 750,000 people. So, you know, I think Biden lost Florida by about 400,000. So you think 750,000. Most of those people are black, and most of those people probably would have voted for Joe Biden. And that, you know, like it's all those little things that the Republicans do that have the Democrats constantly working uphill. So as bad as it seems, you got to kind of think about that stuff. They're both not playing on a level field. You know, it's like the Republicans are, when it comes to politics and being shady, I mean, they are on the major league level, while, you know, Democrats are on and playing peewee ball. You know, they're still trying to play by the rules. You know,
I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't cut it so neatly of like, you know, Republicans do this, Democrats do this. Like you said, shenanigans everywhere. I mean, politicians, whether you like them or you're for them, whatever, they always got some kind of secret. You know, they got some agenda that they're not going to tell you about, and they're gonna work the politics in their favor. You know, you work the system.
Yeah, but I
it's
find
just
I and this might be just my biased opinion, but I do find like Mitch McConnell, like I'm going to not pass any judges onto Barack Obama. I'm going to hold on to them all until Donald Trump. I've never heard a Democrat do something like that. You know, it's
right.
those things.
I'd say you have a perfect timing, Kyle. Welcome aboard. You've got certain things like that, for example. You know, that's an example of something Biden and his team absolutely cannot do now. Something like that, where they have given their word on some policy or how they're going to treat some situation, and they just simply cannot flip-flop like that, because that was the whole thing. Characters on the ballot, democracies on the ballot. You know, they one, I think for the most part, I do believe them. That's what, you know, their aim and their direction. But two, you know, they absolutely just cannot flip flop on their promise now, because even the people that backed them would turn on them in an instant. You know, some of them that that have come in and voted for the first time is like, yeah, I want you, and oh, you're just another politician who's gonna lie in to get your way.
And that's a reason why a lot of people just don't bother to vote, because they just feel like it doesn't really matter. You know, they're going to go in and do whatever they want to do.
Past, I still go out there and, you know, make my decision, but sometimes you feel like, I don't know, there's like 2 parts, 3 parts, I don't know how many parts of the presidency of when, like, I'm picking a candidate of what I think about. And, you know, you do have the policy and you look at those, but then you do have the person. And being president, a large percentage of being president means you are a figurehead. You are a symbol. You are the face of the nation. And the way that you behave and you treat people, that reflects on the country as a whole. I have the benefit, the experience, whatever, of living outside the country and getting other people's reactions of what America is. Sometimes I meet Americans who come over here, and they've got some sort of like ego about them, you know, like, oh yeah, I'm from America, when they introduce themselves to people, and they expect everyone to like, oh gosh, American. People don't care, you know, people are laughing at this. I've had coworkers come up to me over the past few days like, hey, the election, yeah, what do you think and everything? And we get into a small conversation about it. And my God, they just laugh at it. You know, everyone thinks it's so ridiculous. Like the election's taking forever. Look at the way the people are in the streets and these protests. And it's just a laughing stock. So again, like a lot of Trump's presidency is just so much of how many jokes and memes and orange babies and all this stuff. That's what the rest of the world is seeing. They don't sit down and study the policies and the politics and the intricacies. Can't get that one out.
The nuance.
Nuance.
There you go.
Of everything that they're doing politically day to day. They just see, guy screaming on TV again.
I don't know about that. Like a lot of, at least here in Canada, a lot of people are really concerned with what the United States are doing.
Well,
in terms of the environment,
Canada to U.S., kind of the same thing there. I'm talking about the other side of the world.
I mean, we're concerned with the environment, what they're, like that's a big thing. Him just signing out of that Paris treaty is pretty bad. So there's little things like that. Like like I said in the last episode, our border is closed right now with the United States because of him. Just the way he's handled the pandemic. And that's the other thing too. You wonder like how much this pandemic really affected the election.
Well, yeah. Again, you look at the numbers and you see how close it was, and a lot of people are really worked up about COVID and how it's all going to be treated and everything. And they ran out to the polls, but still, it's like, look at the numbers on these last few states, like 49-49. He's getting the advantage, but in some cases it was, I haven't looked at him recently, but it was like he's up by 1,000, he's up by 5,000. These are very small margins.
Yeah.
So it's the power of getting, new people into it and getting them out there to voice their opinions. But then on the other side, you had so many. I'm not going to group like Republicans and Democrats for this because, like we said last week, I kind of stuck my foot in my mouth a bit. I think I was a little too vocal. But you got the Republicans, and then you got the Trump people. And by Trump people, I mean the hillbilly beer and barbecue shouting at people. And
but the thing is that
the Trump head on a Rambo body flag.
I don't think you're wrong for lumping in the other Republicans with that, because even though they might not act like Trump or agree with Trump, they're complacent with it.
Well, it's some,
and the pathway to
a degree.
Evil men get to do what they do if good people do nothing, and like right now there are members of the Republican Party that should be coming out and saying Trump is crazy, count every ballot. This is a election. People who just won their election where all their ballots were counted are not like the hypocrisy is just sky high. They're trying to play both sides to it. So I have no problem with anyone lumping in every Republican in with the Trump.
No, well, you can't do that because a lot of Republicans, you can't do that. You're committing fraud. You're fraudulent.
I mean, I understand. Like,
my point is there are a lot of high-profile Republicans or Republicans in general who have said they are voting for Biden this year. They cannot tolerate Trump. Or with this most recent speech of Trump's, there have been some Republicans, Chris Christie for one, who is like, Trump's buddy, who's basically saying, like, you are coming out here without any kind of evidence. You really look like a big idiot right now.
Well, more of them should be doing that though. Like a
lot of them are going to be doing it because look at Trump over this past day. When you have the man and you have the title. And right now the title's being taken away, and you look at what you're left with. It's just the man and the voice and the screaming and the complaining, and that's all he is now. It's very quickly you take away that power, and you're left with like, oh, this guy. He's like There's two ways to be successful. You can work hard, you can earn it, you can make something of yourself, or you can be loud and stubborn. We've all seen it in like a supermarket or something. You're in line and you got that one person ahead of you who's trying to get by with a coupon that expired 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
What do? They shout at the top of their lungs, start pounding their fist, and they get their way.
Yeah.
The manager comes out, oh, here you go, 5% off. And everyone in the store is left like speechless. Like right. What just happened? And they're walking out and they're screaming and they're insulting people. That's how he got to where he is. He's too stubborn to care what people think of him.
With millions of dollars from daddy.
And that too.
Yeah. Kyle says, I was watching some funny Trump comments last night on YouTube. I totally see how people were seduced by his charm and the fact that he wasn't a normal politician, and he has some funny zingers.
Oh, zingers.
Yeah, well, that's the thing.
For me, I got the zingers.
He's a TV guy, right? And he knows how to work the TV, and
he knows how to work the TV.
He knows how to work the TV. No, he knows how to command an audience.
Yes, and that's very true.
And
you got to commend him on that.
I think I mentioned this movie before, but it's called The Face in the Crowd. It came out. It was Andy Griffith. It came out in the 50s, and exactly what was happening today with Donald Trump is exactly what that movie was talking about. Andy Griffith was this big loudmouth on TV that could just command an audience, and he'd come up with these songs and people just loved them, and whatever he said was gold, and it went to his head. He got corrupt, and that's Trump has been corrupt since day one. All he cares, really, I don't even know if he's corrupt. He just cares about himself, like that's the thing. Like Nixon was sneaky about stuff, whereas Trump isn't. He just goes out there and he's like a bulldog and just, I'm going to do what I want to do kind of thing. Anyways, I think Biden owes Stacey Abrams a huge something. I don't know, a steak dinner or something, because she ran for governor in Georgia in 2018. She lost the election barely, and she knew how she lost, by Republicans all moving the goalposts and the rules of the election and all that. And she's been on a campaign for the last 2 years to make sure that didn't happen in the next election in Georgia. Everybody wanted Stacey Abrams to run for senator somewhere. Didn't matter where, anywhere there was a seat available, run for senator, because they knew that she would make an excellent senator. And she said, absolutely not. I'm staying here in Georgia, and I'm going to fix this stupid problem. And all the work that she's done over the past 2 years, the results came in today. Georgia would not have flipped if it were not for Stacey Abrams.
Yeah, so that flip, what was that, like 90, maybe like 1992 or so? Was like the last time they went Democratic.
Yeah, well, that's because Clinton was a Southern guy, right? And
right.
And Jimmy Carter. And anytime those Southern states would go Democratic, it was always, you had to have the Southern Democrat in there that would flip it. But
a little bit of appeal.
So,
there, yeah.
Anyways, yeah. Stacey Abrams. There's a round of applause, and it was amazing too. I remember on the day of election when Joe Biden was like in the Philadelphia area with his blowhorn there and telling people to go out and vote. And, it wasn't really campaigning for himself, but he was just telling people to go out and vote in the Philly area. And that became like the area it's like, how do they know? They got better polls than like I was saying before the election, all these news media outlets do national polls, which mean absolutely nothing, because you got to go state by state, and it takes more work, and none of them want to do it.
Well, it gives you something to talk about.
Yeah.
It gives you something to wonder about.
Well, over on, I guess we can move on. I think we're done with the election talk. It's been a half an hour of election talk. Hopefully it was entertaining to people.
Oh, well, it's not going to end. I mean, the election technically is not finished.
Oh, it's still going. I mean, just for this episode.
Oh, right. Exactly. I will be back because we have about 2 months, right, of interesting Trump decisions and actions to talk about. If there's going to be a recount in Georgia, they don't start that until November 12th, which there is going to be. So Trump's going to drag that one out, and then he's going to demand one in Arizona. He's going to demand one in Nevada. That all takes time. So that's going to be a big process. And then, so the way that you probably know this already because you're American, but I'm learning most of this for the first time because I just never really paid attention before. But it's not normally a big issue like this.
No, but the Electoral College is basically the states vote, say who they want. The votes come in, they say who they want to vote for. And none of this is written down, where these guys in the Electoral College, like it just goes to some guy who says, okay, now I'm going to go to Washington, D.C., and I'm going to tell the House of the House
representatives
who my state voted for, because that's the way it was done 200 years ago before there were
Right, because they didn't get the news yet.
Right. So they would have to go over there and tell them, okay, this is who my state. But there is nothing written down that says that these guys actually have to say my state is going to go for the people who voted for him. They could actually, just because it's not written down, they could say, well, you know what, we're a Republican state, so I'm gonna say that we're gonna go Republican, even though the state voted Democrat. I don't put it past Trump for that to happen, because look at all the stuff that he's tried to pull already. You'd think, oh, that would never happen. A president would never do that. He was just on TV yesterday saying how the election is rigged. So who's to say that he could convince one of these guys to say, look, the election was rigged in your state, so you're going to throw out the... I like how, this was funny too. I like how at the start they were saying all these late votes. Can't count all these late votes, when in fact they're early votes. They're all the people who voted early by mail. As soon as that was pointed out by them, they dropped the late vote thing.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, then it had to become legal votes.
Legal votes, right.
You got to count the legal votes.
And Joe Biden, he's just saying count every vote. He's not saying count every legal vote. There's something to that. What
was in his first night's speech? He was like, I don't want them to just find some votes at 4 a.m. and add them on. It's like, that's what you do.
You mean like how it's been done forever? All right. I want to talk about the flu shot a little bit, because there was some back and forth over in Discord. This is not, I'm not starting an argument or anything like that, telling anyone to get a flu shot, including you, Richard. I respect your opinion not to get it or whatever. I've never gotten it before. I just decided this year to get it. And some other people just chimed in on Discord. Duke's comment has nothing to do with flu shots. I'll just mention that quickly. Duke says, great troll episode, guys, referring to our Trolls Fandango with Curtis. He said, I saw some of Troll Hunter a while back and thought it seemed interesting. I love Ernest, but haven't seen Scared Stupid since back in the day. Now I want to revisit it. I watched a bit of the documentary, The Best Worst Movie, and was intrigued. Maybe I'll check out Troll 2 as well. Just don't expect to be too entertained.
I'm curious to see that documentary, by the way.
I do want to watch the documentary. I do. And I think I was in that episode. I might have been a little too hard on Troll 2. I think I was just annoyed.
You were like, you were like,
I don't think, I can't say Troll 2 is a good movie, but I do see, like, if there were friends around, yeah, you'd want to sit there and watch and see all the stupid, goofy scenes.
Don't be saying it's a good movie. It's an entertaining movie.
I can't go that far.
You can sit back and just like, wow, look at what we're watching.
I still can't. I could never bring myself to watch the whole thing on my own. I would fast forward to the bits, or I would just watch them on YouTube. But I stand by my opinion on the other two movies. Okay, so it's Rocket Sauce about the flu shot. He says, here to give what I know of the flu shot from getting it myself and talking with the nurse who gave me the shot. The virus they inject you with is not alive, and you will not get flu from the flu shot. I will say that I have gotten sick from the shot before, and I asked her about it. She informed me what probably happened is that my immune system went into overdrive when there is something added to my body. It did what any good immune system does and started to attack it, hence the fever and puking, as my body was rejecting it. It doesn't guarantee that you won't get the flu, but it will help build up an immunity to it. I haven't gotten the flu shot in many years, but this year I figured it was a good time to get one. I think it is safe to do. I have friends who work in the medical field, and they have no choice but to get one because they work in hospitals. Sarah worked in a hospital too for the longest time, and she somehow avoided getting that flu shot as well.
It depends. Certain companies you work for, it's just required, or whatever field you're in or whatever.
Hodge says, I get the flu shot normally if it is easily accessible. This will be my 4th or 5th year in a row. They're offering flu drive-through clinics in our town this year. I booked online and show up next Friday to get it. Where I work is looking to bring a nurse too for staff. And Kyle says, yeah, flu shots seem to have various reactions. I had to get one this year because of a new job, but I was 100% fine and it was free. But you hear some people get sick after getting one, so I don't know. I see why some people don't want it. Also regarding the talk last episode I was in and out because he was running errands. Remember, we kept losing Kyle. And he said he loved the James Bond talk and he'd love to be on an episode. If you ever did a film dangle on the 007 films.
I don't watch those films.
I mentioned it in the Discord, but it's one of those things where I feel like I need to rewatch the James Bond movies because it's been such a long time to pick the ones to recommend to Richard.
Mm-hmm.
Like it'd be easy just to say let's do the first three because I think those first three movies are good, but they're very similar. So if Richard ends up not liking one, he's not going to like the other two, and that's going to be a very sad
I would
episode.
appreciate a sampler. Like,
Yeah,
give me a Sean Connery, give me a Roger Moore, and then whatever other Bond you think is.
So that's what I want to do. So once I catch up on some Star Trek, maybe I'll dive into some James Bond. I can't remember. Did I? Sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say I am interested in a Pierce Brosnan one because that's like I didn't grow up with it. I only kind of became aware of James Bond. Like, of course, I knew of it, but around that time when he was doing them because of GoldenEye and all that. So I was like, oh, okay, he's a James Bond guy. And that looked like silly 90s adventure action. Yeah. So
for Pierce Brosnan, I think the best one is still the first one he did, GoldenEye. Because the thing with James Bond is that they always start off a little like normal, and then they end up having to get more and more silly because the villain has to keep like they have to outdo the last villain.
Yeah,
right. They got to make the villain. So then James Bond's got to do more crazy things in order to defeat the villain. Like when what's his name? Roger Moore first started. This first one was Live and Let Die, which there was a little bit of silly things in it. There was a car that flips upside down and around, which is pretty cool. It's a cool stunt anyways. But, for the most part, it was a very serious. And then by the end of it, it was James Bond in space. James Bond.
Sounds
you might like that one. Actually, you might like that one. It's very goofy, though. Very goofy.
Goofy's fun. Because isn't it all about, like, the gadgets and the, like, go James Bond watch, pew, pew, shooting lasers and stuff.
Yeah, for sure. But I don't know. I like the more serious ones myself. It's of course, contrarian Steven Knighter has to say, just watch all the Austin Powers instead. Yeah,
I did watch the first Austin Powers like within the last year or so.
I saw it in the theater.
I've never been a big fan. Like they're fine.
Oh,
there are some jokes that they really get you going, but I don't know, for some reason that those movies just they're fine.
Oh, okay. I love them. I think they're hilarious. I could watch them anytime they're on TV or whatever. I can watch those right to the end.
It might be one of those things that I think it's a movie that watching with other people and discussing is probably more fun than me watching it alone. Kind of like
this isn't a bad
not
idea.
To the same level.
Of course, Toku Joe's comes out with a good idea. Watch Goldfinger, GoldenEye, and Goldmember. That would be. But we already heard Richard's opinion on the Austin Powers movie, so that'd be a big letdown at the end.
Well, the third one is certainly the weakest.
I just want to mention, so just to get back to flu shot just for a second, did I tell you that my sister had a bad reaction to the flu shot when she first got it?
No.
So this is when they were first coming out in the late 90s, and she was still living at home, and she took my dad's van to go and get this flu shot. So they give her the flu shot, and then on her way back home, she's driving, she starts passing out. She's feeling really, really bad. So she pulls the van off to the side of the road, and we had my dad had the cell phone bag in the car, and she used that to call home and get my dad to come pick her up because she was passing out. So dad gets the phone call. He starts driving out there, and she just sits there and she just like starts conking out, and a cop comes up to her in the window, knocks on the window. It's like, hey, are you okay? And she's like, oh yeah, I'm fine. I just had the flu shot. I'm having a bad reaction. But I called my dad and he's coming to pick me up. And the cop's like, oh, okay. Just make sure to move the van further off the road, and then leaves her there. Sudbury Region Police, baby. There you go. Because her car was like a little bit on the pavement.
I gotcha. So she just needed a little time and get her head straight.
She's allergic to eggs, and the base that they use is eggs, and I guess she just had a weird reaction to it. But they say that a lot of people that get it the first time, they have a weird reaction to it.
Yeah, it can be like Ryan said, your body is just kind of dealing with it because you got this foreign entity. Your immune system just goes into overdrive, or it could be, I don't know, something. But I've had flu shots before. Again, like places I've worked have provided them for free or allowed you to go get them, and I never had a bad reaction to them. Mostly it's just I've seen that people either, like Ryan said, you kind of get a little sick, not the flu from it. And the protection that you supposedly get from it is only going to be for a couple of months, and it's only for a particular strain of flu.
Yeah.
So it doesn't, it lessens, when it works, it lessens your chances for getting a certain kind of flu for a certain period of time. Right, certain strain of flu, and your strenuous flus. But basically you can still get sick and you still got to wash your hands and not let people cough in your face and all that.
Still got to do all that stuff.
In my experience, that's enough.
Yeah. So. It's my, my wife's stepdad, my father-in-law is, he's not doing too well, so he might be in a hospital at some point very soon. So just kind of want to be prepared, with that stuff. And so it's adult stuff, stuff you got to do as an adult. Sucks.
You make your own decisions, people. Think about the facts. Make a decision.
Okay. Let's talk about some movies on TV. I didn't think we'd get to it, but here we are.
No, we got to move on to the weather, and then we got sports.
You watched the movie Daylight? I have seen this movie. I watched this movie last year for the first time. So this is good. Yeah, so we can talk about it.
Oh, so what did you think of Daylight?
It was a piece of crap, but but it had its moments. It was okay. It's kind of fun.
Yeah. Well, what happened is Cobra came on Netflix.
Yes.
I gotta watch some Cobra.
Yes.
And I was having a good time with that. Saw that car flying. You're a disease and I'm the cure.
Yes.
Cutting pizza with scissors. Clang, clang, the axes and all. It was all fun.
Yeah.
Just goofy, silly Stallone. It's like, I want to watch some more Stallone. Oh, Daylight. I've never seen this. And it's, it's in the tunnels. I forget if it was the Holland Tunnel or the Lincoln Tunnel, but going to from New York to Jersey. And then, what was it? A truck full of chemical waste or something gets knocked over. There's a big explosion. The tunnel collapses, and
it's a disaster film.
It's a disaster film. So there you go. Anyway, I watched it, and it's not very good.
No,
it's pretty dumb at times. And my God, the hair and the clothes in this movie, the mid '90s, was not a good time.
It was something else.
Everybody looks terrible. They just look like awful human beings. So it's kind of good that they get all wet and dirty, so you don't have to see their fashion.
Was this on your Netflix?
It was, yeah.
Okay.
So I gave it a shot, and
no.
A
lot of cliched characters. I remember there was the dog.
Too many characters is what it was. Just way too many. Because in a disaster film, of course, they're going to get picked off little by little. You're going to turn. I don't trust you. I'm going to be the leader, and all that stuff that goes on. But still, by the end of the movie, there's just so many of them. They had nothing to do, and I'm convinced they needed that many just because there's one scene later on where they got to lift a car off somebody, and they needed enough people to lift the car and to carry him up. And okay, we'll keep that.
It was all the same stuff. Like the one guy's injured. Let's leave him here to die. No, we got to take him with us. We don't leave anyone behind.
Right. Everybody's got their little character arc. And, there was one, the dog. There was the two elderly people with the dog. Mm-hmm. And they love this dog. They're bringing the dog. It's always talking about the dog. Can't leave the dog. Very late in the film, they reveal, their son died. And they got the dog as kind of a replacement, in their
hearts.
What you do. They couldn't let go. So they got the dog, and then they lose the dog while they're swimming through the tunnel. And then the woman's like, you got to go get the dog. And then the husband's like, no, you know what? The dog's gone. Our kid's gone. You got to let him go. And that was their arc. And it was like, for this kind of movie, that was great. That's all you need. And then she just dies like a minute later from
Spoiler alert.
hypothermia. And it's like, okay, what was that about? And then in the very next scene, the dog shows up again. It's like, what kind of mixed message is this? The dog just, oh, here I am. I'm back in the movie.
Yeah, it wasn't great.
No.
All right.
Daylight, not good. What was next on my list?
Pacific Rim 2.
Yeah, I finally watched Pacific Rim 2, and that is also a big pile of hooey. Not good at all. Same thing, really bad characters, too many characters, not very interesting. And I was lied to. It's one of those movies where the trailer shows a whole bunch of scenes, and you watch the movie, and it's like, where's that scene? It didn't make the final cut.
Yeah.
What's up with that?
I don't know. The Borat movie does that. There's a few scenes that are in the trailer. When you watch the movie, they're not in the movie. The extended cut of Borat. That's where those scenes are going to pop up. But
yeah, I get it. You edit it and you're like, okay, here. But they cut out the scene where the guy goes, "That's what I'm talking about." I'm like, that's an important scene.
Well, a lot of times they will shoot scenes just for the trailer.
I've heard they did that for the new Star Wars movies because way back when the old trailers for the original Star Wars had some scenes that got cut out, so they did it intentionally for the new movies because that's like the Star Wars thing.
Well, even just to they'll have like a character explaining something to another character that scene never happens in the movie, but they just need like a little snippet because they don't have the announcer guy anymore, right?
Right.
In a world when
because clips don't always tell you what you need to know, and it's not like a trailer speed clip.
Right. So they will shoot scenes specifically for the trailer, and then it gets. Anyways, that's movies for you.
Okay. I made up for that though. Last one. I couldn't wait. I couldn't wait. I know this was one of the ideas thrown around when we did our 2B trash thing, and I kind of wanted to wait. Maybe we do it again, but I was just this was during the election, like the first or second night or whatever, and I was like, I just need something silly to take my mind off things. So I watched Samurai Cop. Rogue One's trailer was almost completely different. I saw 5 minutes of that movie.
Yeah, I wish I only saw 5 minutes of that movie.
I saw 5 minutes, and I totally forgot that I started watching it. Yeah. Every once in a while, when I hear the name Rogue One, I'm like, oh yeah, I started watching that.
That's how much I watched of the last Star Wars movie, the Fay Ray ending, the one that wraps up her story. Fay Ray, whatever the heck her name is.
I haven't seen that one.
Oh no, wait, Fay Ray's in King Kong. I don't know who she is. Ray,
Egon. Right?
Ray and Egon. They're in that.
Egon.
Tell me about Samurai Cop.
Samurai Cop is a movie that you should absolutely watch with other people. The same thing like Troll 2. When I was watching it, I was like, I need to watch this with somebody else. It's like I shouldn't be doing this. Except for all the awkward pornography scenes in the movie.
Ooh, I like this. I like the sound of it.
It's like the movie is garbage. It's like everything is wrong with it, but it's in a way that you're sitting down with somebody like, look at this mess. And there's a lot. There's so much to discuss.
Were people throwing popcorn off the screen onto the...
I didn't have that. It's not that Troll 2 level. But there were just like completely awkward, out of the place sex scenes that come in, and they go on for so long with like a static shot, and it's like you're watching a porno. It's just really awkward because I was watching this movie, my wife was sitting behind me doing something, and I was like, yo, I don't want her to look up and see me watching this. I was like,
was it the sexy saxophone and for the soundtrack? And
it's to that level, but so much more awkward.
Nice.
And they've got the dudes wearing like thongs, and the positioning, it's like you're staring at man taint for like it's like, it's so awful.
Look, I'm not judging anyone. If that's what you're into, that's what you're into, but I don't want to see that. I'm sorry.
But the other parts of the movie, you'd absolutely get a kick out of watching them. Like, you probably shouldn't even go straight to the clips. You should sit down,
You need the
grab
build up.
somebody that you know would appreciate that kind of thing, sit down
Yeah.
and like, we really got to figure out a way of like
Right.
watching a movie online. If we can get everybody together and just share an experience.
Yeah.
That's something.
Yeah. I wish they would just let you just stream it. Just stream it on Twitch or on.
Well, it's
because
like
getting the comments and stuff would be just fun. You know?
Can you stream it to a private YouTube
like
gathering?
Like
where,
we could do it.
wouldn't...
We could do it on here, and but we would just keep it in like the waiting room kind of thing. Like, you know how before we had broadcast, you know,
right?
So we can do it that way, but there will be no recording of it. That's the only thing.
I'm not talking about a recording or a show. I'm talking about just sitting down and enjoying a movie. You know?
Yeah. Well, that we could do it that way, and we could even put like the movie full screen, and then, you know, we can just talk or whatever. Yeah.
Okay.
So that there is a way.
Okay.
All right.
What have you been watching?
Well, I'm glad you asked. So I feel the pressure to get some more Star Trek in me, so I dove into some more Star Trek Enterprise. So if you recall, I'm watching season 4, and I was what the heck was it?
You're up to the augments last time we talked,
right? With Brent
Spiner.
Spiner. Okay, well, I was getting bored with that. I saw how many there was like about 4 episodes of this thing, so I gotta skip past this because I don't care. None of this. And then I was with T'Pol and Archer, and they were doing like a Who's Done It,
the Vulcan thingamabob.
And I was like watching that, and that was like 3 episodes, and I'm like,
yep,
I'm getting past this. I don't care. I gotta get the good stuff. All right, so finally, I get all the way to episode 10. And I start watching episode 10, and I finally hit one that it's a little by the numbers, paint by the numbers Star Trek. It's very generic, but it was a little bit interesting. So
that's the one with the they start by playing chess.
Playing chess?
There's like the 2 characters kind of sitting down playing chess. Is this the one with like
let me tell you the episode I saw.
Okay. Why don't you tell me the episode you saw?
So it was the old man who invented the transporter, and of course he's got it's like the MacGyver backstory where he's Archer was best friends with his son, so now he's best friends with this old man who invented the transporter, and his daughter brings him onto the ship, and okay, we got to go to this part in space where there's nothing around for 100 light years because we're going to do transporter experiments, and I got the okay from Starfleet to do this thing. So he takes him out there, and then mysterious things start happening. One crew member gets like all mangled and messed up because like this weird light moved through the armory of the ship. The guy was working in the armory. He was like working on phasers or something, and this thing went through him and messed them all up and killed him. So now Archer's like, what's going on here? I lost a crew member. Dang it, what the heck? So this is stuff like, I mean, it felt like original Star Trek, like Captain Kirk Star Trek sort of episode. But it, I wasn't like I'm not invested in any of the characters, so that part was a little bit lost to me. But as I was watching, I was like, okay, yeah, this is pretty good. There were some good parts in it, even though I knew what was going to happen. You could tell like it was just, I've seen this episode before, but there was nothing in it that like made me want to turn it off. So it was okay. It was pretty good.
Yeah, that was an okay episode.
Yeah. Okay.
I think in that final season, there's only like 2 one-off episodes like that. Everything else is like a little mini 3-episode arc.
So now I'm into another arc after this one, you think? Like,
I think, well, it... Permit me a moment, everybody. Talk amongst yourselves.
Well, while he's looking that up, I'll just mention I watched the movie Raw Deal, the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie from the
Is that the
80s.
one with the Belushi and he's Russian?
No, that is Red Heat, I think.
Right, yes, Red Heat.
What I watched was Raw Deal, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, Never gets a raw deal. I don't know where the raw deal came from. He never gets one. He's with this woman, his wife of 5 years. He's not getting along with her. And then he was part of the FBI, and he got fired for something he did in the past. So now he's got to be the sheriff of this small town. He's not really digging his job. His wife hates it out there. So one of the guys that's friend of a senator or something like that got him to back in the FBI if he does this one job. If he does this job, then we'll get you back into the FBI and your life will be grand again. So he fakes his own death, which was hilarious. He reports in that he's going to go check into a chemical plant, then drives a squad car into the chemical plant, breaks into the chemical plant, drives his car into the chemical plant, sets like some gasoline there so he can light his cigar and then throw it. So it'll, but somehow his motorbike, his getaway vehicle was inside the chemical plant somehow. I don't know how. He broke in, put the car there, but his motorbike to escape was in there already. Gets on the motorbike, does a cigar thing. Okay, he's dead now. And so he does this thing undercover, and it's just very, very generic and not very interesting and kind of meh.
I'm guessing maybe I never saw this one.
It would be a better movie, I think, if it was someone other than Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like he just...
Well, this was early on in his career, right?
It was between...
Was this after Terminator?
After Terminator, before Terminator 2, in that era. So, yeah. Gotcha. Anyways, it wasn't that great. It was just fine to waste some time.
You just like put something in my head. Did you ever see the old Mad TV sketch where they did Terminator 3, where Terminator goes back to protect Jesus?
No, I don't remember that one.
That's the other thing I've been doing. I've been looking at like old Mad TV clips on YouTube, like Will Sasso's Steven Seagal and all that. I forgot how good that show was.
Oh,
like a lot of the early stuff. But the first couple of seasons, they put a lot of money into that show. That's when they still had the spy versus spy animations.
Oh, yeah.
And, they did a lot of like the 3-camera setup on a set, but they also did a lot of on-location stuff and shot film. And that's that Terminator thing. Look that up. I think it's like season 1.
Okay.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, that's what they wanted to set themselves separate from SNL, and SNL would do everything live, and they would do everything pre-recorded. And then now you would look at SNL, and they do tons of things pre-recorded now, like I'm on a boat and all that stuff.
When they decided to just abandon the whole live thing.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways,
you're right. I forgot the order of the episodes, but the next episode, episode 11, is the one that I was thinking of, where two people start by playing chess. That's another like standalone one. And then it looks like it's all the story arc stuff. But you've just hit the beginning of the good chunk.
Okay.
Where it's like, this is Enterprise at its finest. I mean, it's not Next Generation. Don't worry about that. Randy Newman stuff was good.
Yeah. Will Sasso's Randy Newman was great.
And he had another one where he was some kind of like handyman doing like a Bob Villa kind of show.
Yeah.
And he'd always be like cutting his fingers off and everything.
Yeah.
Kind of like
Sasso was great on that show, man. He was awesome.
Sasso was really good. He had a big range, and he was kind of like Chris Farley, and where he really got the physical stuff in too, despite how big he was.
Yep.
Good show. Good show.
Okay.
What else did you watch?
Okay, so final two things. I watched the original Little Shop of Horrors. Have you ever seen that?
Jack Nicholson? No, I haven't.
Jack Nicholson's only in it for 5 minutes.
He's got a little cameo, but when you go see the DVD or something,
he's
Jack
like right
Nicholson,
on the cover.
Yeah.
But it's a Roger Corman movie. He was notorious for doing B films, and this is
The Fly.
Did he do The Fly?
He did the remake, right?
No, that was no. The remake of The Fly
Roger Corman.
It was a Canadian guy. I'm blanking on his name. Steven will when he catches up to this, he'll put it in there. Oh, freak, I'm blanking on his name, but it's a Canadian guy. But it's not Roger Corman. But anyways, it's a really good movie. It's doesn't follow exactly what the remake did. The remake
Sorry,
did
David Cronenberg.
Cronenberg, that's one.
Got the name.
But yeah, it was good. The effects are really cheesy, of course. But it is a comedy. It stars Dick Miller from the Gremlins movies, and I think and I think he's in those movies because of his performance in this movie. Actually, there's anyway.
He's in the Burbs.
Yes, he's in the Burbs as well. I think that's where he got this.
Bobby Picardo.
Well, he's good in this movie. He goes into the florist shop and he orders some flowers or whatever, and so the guy gives him the flowers, and then he just starts putting some salt on it and just starts eating them. And that's what he does throughout the whole movie. He just eats friggin' flowers. It was good. It was good. Now, yeah, all the Canadians are yelling at me now. It's David Cronenberg. It's David Cronenberg. Yeah.
I just watched The Fly a couple months ago. That movie's fun.
I hate that movie.
It's not. It's so good.
No bueno. No good. If you want a fun movie, watch Little Shop of Horrors, the original. It's only like I think it's less than an hour and a half. I think it's an hour and 20 minutes. So it's not very long. But it was good. They got the not much animation with the plant. So if they want someone to get eaten by the plant, someone has to trick them to like climb some stairs so they can get into the plant.
Is that like when they had to put the salt in the giant corn pot in that Sleepaway Camp movie?
No. Oh yeah. Pretty much. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, go up these stairs and you'll see what you're looking for. Like there was some money that was hidden, and he tells the mob guy, go up the stairs. It's like, that's the only way they could get him into the plant. But yeah, it's a fun movie considering the budget they had. Anything. It's no Frank Oz, Rick Moranis spectacular, but it was still pretty good. And you could see why they made a musical from it. It's a fun movie. Okay, and my final movie is I've learned from this Halloween that I'm not much of a slasher guy. I do like the Friday the 13th, the first two. But when it comes to these kind of movies, when it comes to like quote unquote horror, I love like big monsters that are attacking things. That's my thing. So I finally watched
Pacific Rim 2.
No, because you can't see anything. It's just rain. There's no stop animation in that.
Watch Pacific Rim 2. It's all shot in bright sunny daylight.
No, I don't want to see those. No good. What I watched was Them with an exclamation point at the end.
The original
from 1954.
I've been wanting to watch that. Yeah.
I do want to see Eight-Legged Freaks now after watching this because I think that's sort of a remake of this.
But that's got that guy in it. Got that guy.
He's fine. David, what's his face?
Courtney Cox's
Arquette.
Husband.
David Arquette.
David Arquette. Yeah.
He's fine. So I do want to see that. Anyways, I watched the original from 1954. Of course, they were doing nuclear experiments out in the desert somewhere, setting off some bombs, and within 8 years, that created these big giant ants that start roaming the desert, start taking things apart. But the opening of this movie was really good, where they find this girl who's just in total shock. She's got that look on her face, and they don't know what's wrong with her and all that. And then they find out, slowly. It's a good build up and everything in it. It's a cheesy movie. When you see the ants, they're just like these puppets that hardly move. But they do some cool tricks in the movie. Like anytime, like they wanted the ants to seem really menacing or terrifying, they put the camera down low so the ants would be towering over you. And then anytime they wanted them to seem like inferior to the humans, they'd always shoot them down, like from the top down.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah. But, it's fun movie. A lot of shit.
That's one of those movies that, like when I was a kid, I'd always see it like in old monster movie books or like the poster or something. I was like, oh, that looked like so much fun. For some reason, I've never seen it.
I don't know if they'll ever. Did they make sequels to that or anything? I don't know, but
I don't know.
It's cool.
Oh, that's what I was thinking of. Day of the Triffids. That was in my head recently.
I don't know that one.
It's a movie. It's kind of another like 50s B monster movie, but it's like plant monsters.
Mm.
I think that one's on Tubi. Maybe that's why it's in my head. Maybe I saw it when I was looking for Samurai Cop.
Random Steven has to say, well, look forward to the Monster Hunter movie then.
Okay,
Are they making one? Are they making one?
It's made. It's going to be out soon.
Okay.
It's Resident Evil with monsters.
Okay. I'll give it a shot.
What's his name? Anderson and Jovovich.
All right. I'll give it a shot. Tokujo says former WCW champion David Arquette.
Hey, you know what? If you want to see David Arquette in a good movie, a legitimately good movie, it's been a long time since I've seen it. It's called The Gray Zone, and it's a heavy movie. It's Harvey Keitel's in it. David Arquette. It's about a concentration camp back in World War II. It's a really, like, after you finish watching the movie, it's like you get punched in the stomach. But he's legitimately good in it.
David Arquette?
Yeah.
Oh,
like
wow.
He gives a serious performance.
Wow. All right.
Just be prepared for like depression.
No giant ants in it?
No.
Yeah. Okay. There we go. That's all I had.
All right.
Thank you everyone for voting.
Is that what it is? All you Canadians getting your illegal votes mixed up in our system.
Maybe that's what it is. We could definitely swing a vote. There's 30 million of us. And we're very liberal up here. Most of us are.
Teach those Alaskans a lesson, will you?
I don't know what's up
they're affecting anything, but
they only got 3 electoral votes. So see, that's the thing. So they got to throw that out. Get their electoral votes system out of there. You guys got to figure that the new one.
That is a wacky system.
Well, it's because the East Coast, when they got together and said we want to be America, they had to convince the rest of the continent towards the Pacific to join their legion. And they had to make a bunch of compromises. It made sense sort of made sense 200 years ago. Get rid of it. You don't need it anymore. You need some better representation. Like I like the way Maine does it, where they split up those votes. So like, if 75% of the vote goes towards the Democrat, 25% goes towards the Republican,
right?
They give 3 to the Democrat and 1 to the Republican. That makes sense.
What is it? Nebraska's got something like that.
Yeah. Everyone gets representation. I mean, if you think it's how ridiculous it is, there's still like, how many millions of people in some states, like, and it's only separated by like, 1,000 votes or 3,000 votes, or whatever. And there's like half the people don't get any representation. It's silly. So get rid of that. Get rid of the filibuster so you can get some good gun control. You don't have dinkuses holding on to judges until till their guy gets in. Get rid of that filibuster. And a bunch of other. Get rid of the gerrymandering. That's a good thing to do. Election reform, all that stuff.
Right.
I don't know what Steven's talking about. I bought a wig. I don't know. Oh, is that it in my? Is this what he's saying? I bought a wig in here. Sorry, I didn't open these. Are you interested? You want me to open this?
Open it up. Fandango exclusive.
None of this you're going to be interested in, Steven.
Oh boy.
It's
it's not music related.
No, they're I don't think it's music related.
These are like movies.
No. So I got the Doctor Who, the David Tennant ears, the complete David Tennant. Yes, that's good times right there. These were on sale on Amazon.
Aren't you going to wipe those down for Corona?
Oh, this. I guess it is music related. So I'm not sure exactly. This is Pantera reinventing the steel from the year 2000. It was reissued, and you have the original mix on there. You got the Terry Date mix, and then a bunch of bonus tracks. So there you go.
That's it.
There's one more package here.
There better be a movie, because none of these are movies.
No, I don't think this is a movie either. It might be. I don't think so. It's one of 2 things. Both of them
Make
are
sure
not
you're
movies.
not showing your address.
Oh. Don't look at my address. What's this one? Oh yeah, okay. This is the thing that Bill alerted me of. So this is Seven
Monkeys?
Worlds, One Planet. So this is a David Attenborough series.
Mm-hmm.
This is like a four. There's 4K discs on here. These are great series. If you want to ever test out your HDR system, you get these suckers. And it's all like the nature stuff, the wilderness,
Sure.
the wild, the animals.
We could just go outside.
Well, I'm not going into the jungle. I'll let David Attenborough go for me. And
Yeah, you got some moose. We'll go look at a moose.
You do not want to run into a moose. Do not want to run into a moose.
They're fairly large, aren't they?
They're large, and they are designed to take out big grizzly bears. They got a weak bottom, but their top is... So, there you go. That's all I got.
I wish I had any kind of pickup to show you.
Well, they just came in like as I was walking down the stairs. I was like, oh, this stuff is on my front. So there you go. And I don't know what Steven's talking about. Those movies. Safe to assume. I think he's saying safe to assume no one has seen Star Hunter. It's a UK sci-fi show. Nope. And I hear the show has fun and games. Yeah, no thanks.
Come for the puns. That's it.
Yeah. Okay, that's it. Thank you everyone for watching. Watching the final weekly podcast of the Cartridge Club. There's no other weekly podcast. They're all done. They wrapped up. Tokujo's Gotta Rock, referencing Charlie Brown, Halloween special.
Mm-hmm.
Get a boner with Retro Fandango. Follow us on Twitter at retro_Fandango. And don't forget to check out the Discord. Lots of good discussion over there. Mm-hmm. Talk about anything you want. Anything flies over there. For the most part. You can even talk about Richard because he never checks it.
You say whatever you want because I will never know.
Him, he'll never know. And Steven says, rest in peace, weekly podcast, except for this one. Still going strong.
Mm-hmm.
We got the Power 30 that get us through. Oh, and it's Rock Sauce says we're going to win Podcast of the Year by default.
Hi.
Yes.
That's what we've been waiting for.
We got to get back to the by default. Right on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Got to win those votes somehow.
We'll just rig it. Put an extra large pizza on your satanic altar.
Then we should start an electoral college for Cartridge Club Podcast of the Year.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
If we get...
Our 30 listeners should have more power, more say than the hundreds of people who listen to Polykill or something like that. What do you say?
Oh, Kyle is like 55 points.
Oh, yeah, easily.
Kyle's California.
Yeah. And we should split. We should split the Kyle in half. So there's North Kyle and South Kyle, and they each get 2 senators each. Why not? Right?
There's so much we can do.
Yeah. Oh, and make sure to count. I'll make sure to only count the legal votes.
Mm-hmm.
No illegal votes over here. Okay. That's it.
That's all, everybody.
Kyle and Lee, as Catmax says. Cut them in half. All right. All right, that's it, everybody. Thanks for watching. And if you're listening, thanks for listening. Goodbye.
Goodbye.